I have no idea, Wes. It's been so long since I've done a live stream. I'm trying to figure it out. Welcome, Off-Grid Junkie from New York, and Wes S. All right. I see you now. Well, I see your chat. You're right, I don't see you. Howdy, y'all. Hey, Mr. Ellis. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. Just wanted to come on and try to touch base with everybody. Was recently down working in Virginia on the Homestead project. And so I guess I'll give a little update about that and about my plans. I'm getting ready to move down there shortly in the next few months. And hey, Daniel, you know, it was crazy because when I was no sound, all right, nobody could hear me. I'll have to try to figure that out. It's always got to be something. Microphone. No, it's unmuted. But there's a line through it. That's weird. Camera off. Oh, I know why. Let me plug this mic in. Bring it over. Can you hear that? Let's see. Microwave. No, that's not. Oh, Savage Survival saying he could hear you now. Okay. All right. I can hear you fine. My wife hears you. LOL. All right. Cool. So, as I was saying, I don't think it's you, buddy. Oh, okay. As I was saying, you know, a few years, well, let's see, it's almost 2 years since we bought the house in Virginia. And, you know, it needed a lot of work, and it still does. I'm progressing very slowly. I've been going down there on my vacations and trying to get it done. And I haven't been making too much progress. You go down, I'm by myself, or my wife's there for a few days, and we basically gutted and trying to redo the whole house. So, like, it's slow going. And really slow going. And so all this time elapses. You know, when I started, it was like, oh, we got a couple years. Well, we're down to a couple months now. And it's pretty overwhelming. And so, you know, you spend your whole life looking forward to retiring and starting this next chapter. And then when it gets like right there within realization, it gets kind of scary, you know, like, because it's such a huge change in life. Like, you know, worrying, like, am I going to have enough money? You know, so a lot of other things, like my whole life's going to be different, right? And I guess it's that fear of the unknown, mainly, I guess. But that we got that going on, and so I'm actually talking on the phone with a sheetrocker and a couple other people. We got some things, you know, to get in motion. A Fox Night Vision saying, "Hey Tim, spring break is coming soon. You'll be able to get more done." That's true. That's true. I'm trying not to stress out over it, Fox, and I appreciate the support. That's good, you know. But like, I think, you know, the progress is slow because, like, when I gutted the place, it almost seemed like that went pretty smooth, and that was something I could do myself. And so if you have 5 people doing it, it goes quicker. But if you do it yourself, you could still make progress. there's certain things that I have done, but now I'm at the point where there's things that I can't do either because it's more than a one-man job or more than a week job, a job that's going to take a week, or it's possibly could be a one-man job, but it's a little bit above my skill set, right? Like a monkey could do the demo. That doesn't take any brains or engineering. So Thomas Winton saying it's scary, big change, but I know you can handle it. I hope so. Thanks for the support, brother. You'll get used to it. Yeah. Takes time, money, and patience. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. And I've got patience, a tiny bit of money, but not much time. Wear a good mask to protect your lungs. Yeah. Especially during the demo process. I need to be a traveling house fixer-upper. Well, come on down, Wes. You got your first destination, brother. Put you up and feed you. So I could use a hand. But, I'm going down anyway. Like, so if I could live there the way it is now, like, I mean, I lived in a garage for 2 years. So, like, I can do it. My wife needs certain things to be, and she's not like a prima donna or demanding or anything like that, but obviously she needs things, running water, functional shower, kitchen sink. I need a shower and a toilet. Kitchen sink, not so much. You know what I mean? Like, I can make do without that stuff. And be nice to have sheetrock on the walls. Again, for me, that's not really a necessity. I think once I get down there and I'm there full time, I can start to, make more progress. Hey, Ronaldo, he's saying he never gets the alerts. I think, I'm not sure, but you gotta, when you go to the top, like I wanted a video, like when you're on my channel, there's a little bell on the top right. If you click it, I think that turns the alerts on. Not sure if it's that simple, but I know that's the place to start. If the wife is happy, Tim, we are happy. That is true, Fox. Happy wife, happy life. My wife's not demanding at all. She's pretty easy to make happy. And she's been a help. And I think once I get down there, I'll be able to be there full time, be able to get more done. It's a struggle too, because we don't have a huge budget and we got all this stuff to do inside. And then that's kind of like the drudgery of it. And then I look outside, I got so much I want to do. And really, I can't spend time or money on that stuff now because, just because you can't spend money on tough techs to build a greenhouse when you don't have a functional kitchen or sheetrock on the walls. And so, like, this is where we're at now. No snakes in the house. Yes, Daniel. I'm still stressing out about that. I don't know but I feel a little better after I watched Wes's video there with the rattlesnakes. At least not saying they're not down there, but I haven't got anything like that close yet. So that's pretty good. Hey, John Rambo, how's it going? So yeah. So going back to that, right? Like I got that carport I want to turn into a greenhouse, and I'm pricing it out. It's going to cost some money because that Tough Tex panels are pretty cheap, but I'm at the point where I just want to do it once. I don't want to like use greenhouse plastic and have to replace it every 3 years. And so I think I'm going to try to do that. Hopefully get it set up for the fall. It depends how the house goes. Again, it might be next year, but I've got a pretty solid plan for what I want to do. I was actually researching the placement of it, right? So they say like the broad wall should go run east-west so that the longest wall, is exposed to the southern sun. And so you're looking at magnetic north-south. Then I watched a few videos and I read up about it. You want to find, like, I guess they call it true south. So like depending, like if you're thousands of miles or hundreds of miles away, like in Virginia, and then say somebody in Missouri, our magnetic south for both of those locations will be the same direction. But the true south, because the arc of the sun, obviously you're hundreds of miles away, it casts a different shadow, like on each. So what they do is they have pins, like they have a map. I went on this website. They have pins in different parts of the country, and the closest one to me was Raleigh, North Carolina. And you go on there and you find what they call the solar noon, which for my area I think was 12, 18, and 50 seconds or something like that. So you put a plumb stick in the ground and you go out there, because I guess the solar noon, like say 12, 18, that's the spot, that's the time where the sun is in the same spot all 12 months of the year in that location. And so that's the solar noon. The solar noon is going to be different for every location. And so if I go out in the back of my property at solar noon, which is 12, 18, and 50 seconds, that sun is always going to be in that position all 12 months. And so the shadow that it casts on the stick is your true north-south line. And then you do a perpendicular line from there. There's east-west. So if magnetic south-north puts your greenhouse like this, by the time you figure the true, it might kick it a little in one direction or the other. And that's to maximize the amount of sun you get in the winter. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I want to try to figure all that out. But let's see. I'm going to try to catch up on the comments here. It's going to take forever, perhaps years, but things, yeah, that's true. Things will come together someday. And, that's a good point, Thomas Whitten, because, it's more about like the journey than the destination, right? I just want to keep moving forward, and it's going to take what it takes. But if I can keep making improvements and going forwards, then that's what I want to do. Hey, Eleanor, how's it going? Popped in to say howdy. I'm glad you did. Huh. Electric 3 generations, wiring, not in junction boxes. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff there. Like, let's say magnetic north-south is moving, not where it was some years ago. Yeah, I heard something about that too. I'm not sure about all that, but like, I think it was Daniel from Danny from Deep South Homestead. I'm pretty sure did a video about that. I'm praying for you, brother. Everything that needs to fall in place with the next house, new property falls in place. God wants it to. That's true. We're all working on God's time, right? So that's exactly true, Fox. I appreciate that. Hey, Finger Lakes, how's it going, brother? And so it's just, that whole thing is coming together, right? Like the retirement thing is it's within grasp. And so that's maybe scary isn't the right word, but there's some apprehension there, because it's like you look forward to it. Then when it gets there, it's like the reality of it sets in. Like I said, like, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to have, everything you start to worry about. So I don't know, but kind of lost my train of thought. I was catching up on the comments there. So we got that. We got the project coming, some changes there, as far as that becoming more of a full-time thing. I'm looking forward to it in a couple months. I got the story, working on that. Was kind of stalling a little, and when I went away for 2 weeks, I didn't touch it or do anything with it. And I kind of started to like feel like it's slipping away kind of, but I did come back. I thought I had a pretty good episode, and I got some ideas for the future for that. I think I'm going to end the chapter 3 revolution pretty soon for those of you that follow the story. And I'm going to enter into a new chapter, which I'm not going to say too much about it, but there's going to be some changes. They're going to bug out and go on the move. And I think I'm going to write that chapter in the form of, or from the perspective of, a journal that Roger, the character Roger, keeps along the way. And Daniel, your last chapter blew me away. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that, brother. I saw your comment. I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it. But so I think that's where I'm going to go with that. I think the next chapter is just going to be from the first person. Like I'm going to pick a character, probably Roger. That's what I'm thinking now, and he's going to keep a journal that explains things along the way. And so there's that. Some other changes for the channel. I don't know. I've been trying other platforms with limited success. I'm going to just keep plugging away with everything the way I've been going. See, give it time, persistence, right? So let's see. Wes S says, "Hey FLP, did you know Tim don't want no snakes in his house? What's up with that?" I know, like Wes, like he's like the snake whisperer. Somebody said I can't find it here now. Maybe it went up. Somebody was saying use glue traps. Oh, there it is. Oh, use rat-sized glue traps to catch snakes in the house. John Rambo. That's a good idea, actually. I get like 12,000 of them and line my whole house with them. I read somewhere else, I don't know if I read it or saw a video, they said like around the house, put like sharp gravel or like crushed up seashells or something. Because supposedly they won't go over that. If it's coarse, somebody else said like a big thick rope, like the rope that the big ships use to moor with to the docks. It's that like abrasive burlap, I guess. Not really that it's burlap, but that material. And they won't crawl over that, supposedly. I don't know how true that is. But yeah, I don't know. So let's see. I'm trying to keep up here at the. I need to find out. We need to find out what Carl Fairley does. Great story. Thanks, Eleanor. I appreciate it. Yeah, Carl. Yeah, there's some changes coming to the story, and so there's going to be that. Mothballs will keep them. I heard that too. FLP. Trying to keep with the comments. I'm sorry if I'm jumping back and forth. I really, I haven't done a live chat in so long because it seems overwhelming to me sometimes. Like I feel like I'm disorganized. Like I don't have a clear, agenda, which is okay. But then sometimes it just goes back and forth. It ends up being crazy. And so I apologize if that happens too. Mothballs. Yeah. Mothballs, I don't know. I heard like different story. Like some people say it works, some people say it doesn't. So not really sure about that. We worried on money on repairs. Well, I did not. Yeah, that's true, Todd. Watchman 742. Hey, Zach. How's it going, brother? So there's all that, right? So then, like I said, this changes in the story. I got a new story that I've been working on. It's pretty much just on my Patreon page, but it's called Outlaw Nation. And it's like kind of like a prequel to the EMP. It's a story of Roger, how he meets up with Buddy Tanner and joins the motorcycle club when he comes back from Vietnam. I've been trying to write some poetry and do those stories. I'm trying to do more with the homestead in the next few months. When I make the transition down to there, then I think I'm going to start doing more of that content just because that's what I'll be doing. I'm kind of stalled up here. I don't have a house. I'm staying with friends, so there's not much else to do, I guess, really, other than the story, other than my writings, stuff like that. But I want to touch base on something else too, and this is just kind of off randomly, off in left field. But yesterday, actually the other day, I saw an ad on Craigslist. And so yesterday I went, it was about an hour away from where I live, to a guy who runs a nursery. And he had advertised on Craigslist for nursery pots from like 1 gallon all the way up to like 20 gallon. And I want to get a bunch to use in the greenhouse. And I had an idea for like some income on the homestead. I want to try to propagate blackberries and maybe blueberries or whatever, different plants. And so I wanted to get some containers. And so he had them for free. He's offering them for free. And real nice guy. Real nice guy. He's got this beautiful place about an hour away from here. I drove down there and I loaded up my Tahoe with him. Like I got hundreds of containers. I gave some to a guy at church, and I still got hundreds. And he was a little disheartened because he was telling me like he almost was going to just cancel the ad and not do it because, and I could totally relate with this because I've put ads on Craigslist before. People will come and they'll call and they'll say like, yeah, I'm gonna, giving away this, whatever. They'll call and they'll say, yeah, I'm gonna come down and get them on Saturday at 2:00, and then they just like never show up, or they come at 4:30. I was giving away a corn stove once. I had a guy supposed to come at, I think he said like 1:00 in the afternoon. So 1:30 rolls around and he's not there. I text him. He's like an hour away. And he's like, well, I just stopped for a slice of pizza. I should be there soon. And it was 5:30 before he showed up. So you're giving away this thing for free. You're waiting 4 hours for this knucklehead to come after you rearrange your schedule in the first place to be there to meet him at 1. And so he was saying that was happening with him, to these plant pots, nursery pots. So okay. So he was saying almost to the point where like he tried to recycle them. They have a recycle sticker on the bottom of them, but the recycle centers wouldn't take them for some reason. And so he's giving them away. And that's a huge blessing for me, and it's a huge resource, right? But like he's saying, it's such a hassle dealing with these people that he runs a business. He's got a dumpster right there. He's like, I almost just want to throw them all in the dumpster and take the ad down. And, what a shame that is. Like for me, that was a blessing to get those pots. And then I turned around and gave some to a guy at church. So there's a double blessing because it's a blessing for him. And who knows how many other people could make out by getting them. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, some people just ruin it because they call and commit to come and they don't come, or Craigslist is like that. It's hard. I've done stuff on Craigslist and it's almost not worth it, but I'll just encourage people not to do that because, it hurts the people that really want to do it and really could use it. So Zach, you're saying I get food grade buckets to plant in for free from local bakeries. That's awesome. And I've seen videos and heard people. I've went to a few places, but not local, like they're not little bakeries. We guess we have a couple around here. I should check them out. But I went to BJ's. They have a big bakery. I asked them. He's like, oh yeah, we'll keep them for you and give you a call. And they never did. Then I came in one other time, it was a different guy, and I said the same thing. I said, hey, I talked to somebody about buckets. He's like, yeah, we got them occasionally. And I said, oh, yeah, I gave him my information. He never called. Big Y, they said, like, no, we won't give them out. It's too much of a hassle. People ask for them. We just, corporate rule or whatever tells us just not to do it, So I guess maybe I could try a little bakeries because for a while there, I wanted to get some food grade buckets as well. So that could be a good resource if you can get it right, if you can get them right, which obviously you did, Zach, if you're getting them. Sold a truck to a kid, and he promised to bring the rest of my money. Ain't seen him. Yeah, that's hard. You got to go to Stop and Shop and Big Y and Price Shop. Yeah, I did go to Big Y. They told me they wouldn't do it. They just said, like, it's against their policy to give that stuff away for whatever reason. I don't know why. Stop and Shop was the best. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Zach. So, like I said, I just want to give a little update on what's going on with the channel. I started that new, I only did one, right? What's Your Story segment. I did it with BC Bottoms. I want to design it kind of like a podcast, like just a random conversation. Because sometimes, you talk to people and like everybody's got a unique story, and everybody I approach like says, "Oh, I don't have any story to tell," but everybody does, and like you can get interesting things from everybody, I think. And I love listening to that kind of stuff. I listen to podcasts like that, and so it was just an idea I had. I wanted to try it, but I had very little luck. I did one with BC Bottoms, and I have one other one that I'm trying to edit now. I think I have to redo it. It just got all like screwed up, but that would only be the second one. I'm trying to get people. So if anybody's interested in doing something like that, let me know. I'd be interested in exploring that. I'm trying to figure out different like ideas for different content along with in the like writing, storytelling kind of genre. So if anybody wants to do that, let me know, message me or whatever. Comment. Daniel, okay, I'm back. My wife was talking to me, so I listened to her. Good plan, Daniel. That's a good idea. It's hard sometimes, but it's wise if you can. BC Bottoms is a good dude. BC Bottoms is a good dude. And it's interesting because he lived for years away from me here in Connecticut. And I didn't know him then, but I hooked up with him on YouTube after he had moved to Tennessee. And so we're moving to Virginia, which it seems close, right? Virginia's close to Tennessee, but he's like 8 hours away. I mean, like, Virginia's a huge state. My stepdaughter lives in the Nashville area. I actually think she lives right in Nashville. But her and a friend of hers have an ice cream truck, like a gelato truck. And so when we went down there, she came out and visited us. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Tennessee, you're right there. It's like the next state over pretty much. It was 9 hours for us, 9.5 hours to go down there. It was 7 hours from her to go from Tennessee to Virginia. I'm thinking like there's no possible way. But yeah, apparently Tennessee's a big state, I guess is the point. Do a dark and hopeless story about some really mean and heartless guy going, oh, I kill you on everybody. Yeah, well, that's a possibility, Wes. But that's a good point though. Like coming up with new story ideas, like it's easy in a way, but to come up with ones that haven't been done isn't so easy. Daniel, she has a gun. She probably needs a gun. Being married to you, Daniel. But so I try to keep my stories clean. I try to keep the language clean. I try to keep the content pretty clean. Family friendly, so to speak. I want to try to honor God with most of what I do and like the stories that I write, and I try to gear them in that direction. Although like my story has killing and stuff, but killing's biblical, like sometimes. And so I guess to Wes's point, that doesn't really exclude that. Like that, I could do a story like that and find a way to make it clean and good. I don't know, maybe. But I want to try to, when this story is over, I'm going to try to possibly transition into something else. I also toyed with the idea of ending the story when I go to Virginia because I'm going to be pretty busy. And I was down there for 2 weeks. I barely even had time to open the computer. And I need to do that. I need to be busy in that aspect. So while I'm up here now, especially I don't own a home, it's a nice distraction. It's a nice thing to keep my time occupied in. But I think when I get down there, I'm going to shift a little bit, shift focus. I got a lot of stuff to do. Are they good for cans and boxes? Yeah, that's what I use them for, Wes. Putting the food in. Hey, Tommy. How's it going, brother? Thanks for joining us. So the idea for the greenhouse, and I mentioned that in one of my videos, I got one of those like lean-to carports. It's just an aluminum frame with corrugated metal on it. It's 12 by 20. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? And so I wanted, as I was saying about sighting it, when I get that figured out, I think what I'm going to do, because I priced the Tough Tex, because I really like it. It's durable. It's a one-shot deal. You put it on there and you don't have to touch it like forever. It doesn't. It's pretty indestructible stuff. And like I said, I toy with the poly sheets of poly, but like then you wrap it in the plastic. Even the heavier mill greenhouse stuff, after a while it yellows and the wind catches it and you get damage to it and whatever. So I think there's a 4 to 6 year lifespan on it, depending on what grade you get and all that. So I kind of decided on the Tough Tex, but it's expensive, and it would be, to sheathe the whole entire 12 by 20 thing, I priced it out. It was going to be like over $1,000 just for the roof. So I think what I'm going to do, because again, you're running it east-west, I'm going to Tough Tex the front and the front slope of the roof. And I'm going to leave the metal panels on the back and on the back side. Because in the winter, those won't be exposed to the sun at all anyway, because the sun's on a low arc and it comes in front of it. So if I put the Tough Tex on the back part of the roof and the back of the back wall, I don't believe that it's worth it, because you're not going to get any sun exposure. Now in the summer, when the sun's higher, you will, but then I don't know if I really want it then, right? Because then it's going to almost be too hot. And really, primary reason for having the greenhouse is season extension, spring and fall. So I think in that aspect of it, from that aspect, I don't think I need that back to be Tough Tex. I think I'm going to leave it metal. I am going to switch the metal. You're right, Zach. Do it once, do it right. I'm a believer of that. Now, I think what I'm going to do, because the corrugated metal runs like, picture the slope of the greenhouse, the slope of the carport. The gables are open and the corrugated metal runs horizontally, which for the back where the wall is, that's fine. But for the roof, I want to turn it and run it perpendicular, because I want to catch rainwater. And so it's a little more of a project to do that, but I think I'm going to do that. I am going to do that. And so what I want to do is, it's sloped a little where I'm putting it. So it's going to run, the slope runs on the length wall, not on the gable. So I got some old windows and an old French door that I took out of the house. I'm going to put those in the gables. And then in the back where the metal roof pitch is and the metal wall, I'm going to extend the panels. So like right now, I think the roof is, of course, 20 feet long, and it's like 8 to 10 foot long, wide. So I'm going to extend that, so the 20-foot length, but it's going to end up being 16 to 20 feet long, because I'm going to like basically come off the side of the, I wish there was some way I could show like a picture of it or whatever. I'm sure if I knew more about technology, I could, but I don't, so I can't. But I'm going to come off the back of it, and I'm going to basically double the back square footage of the roof. And half of it is going to overhang off the back of the greenhouse. And so that'll increase my water collection capability. Plus, it'll give me a little lean-to park the tractor under. And so it's twofold. And so I'm going to do that. The thing I have to look at a little closer, I may have to talk to somebody who has some building knowledge, is the aluminum posts, beams, I guess you would call them, or studs, are 5 foot on center. There's 2 on each end and 2 in the middle. So there's only 4 spans. And it's 20 feet long, so they're approximately 5 feet each span. So if I run that overhang off the back, do I need to firm that up? Do I need to like shore that up somehow or rebuild that up? It seems, I know it's aluminum, right? But it seems like a pretty decent sized span. I'm wondering, even for the roof, even for the Tough Tex panels on the front, obviously I'm going to run 2-bys horizontally, and then those are going to that's where the Tough Tex is going to attach to. But the Tough Tex specs calls for, I believe, 2-foot trusses, or whatever you want to call them, a 2-foot beam. So if they're every 5 feet, again, I'm running the framing horizontally. So I don't know. It's probably hard to follow. Though I'm explaining it, I'm picturing it in my head. I'm sure people are probably like, "What the frick is he talking about?" So I'm gonna try to when I get down there, lay it out and do a video of it. But got to try to figure some of those questions out before I can get going. Zach's saying I get plastic 55-gallon food grade barrels from large restaurants on Craigslist from rainwater. Yeah, I've got a couple, and I want to get a couple more. I actually want to get some of those IBC totes. You see, similar like what Tommy has down at his off-grid cabin. I want to get a couple of those, and then there's a formula that tells you like how many inches of rain on how many square foot of a roof will give you how many inches of rainwater in a barrel. And I'm not going to worry too much about that. Hi, Nina. How are you doing this evening? I'm going to just make as much roof space as I can and collect as much water as I can. I don't necessarily have to figure out how much I'm going to get, because I can't really predict the inches of rainfall anyway. So to a certain degree, it's a moot point. But that's kind of what I want to do with that. I want to, we're on a well, and so like there's obviously got to be some kind of limitations to the well. So if I do as big of a garden as I want to do in a greenhouse and all that, then again, can the well keep up with it? Maybe. I really don't know. But I want to find out the hard way. I mean, I have my little wimpy garden here. I was using 10 gallons a day to water it. So, like, I can't imagine the amount of water I'm going to go through. I'd like to have a pretty decent rainwater collection system in place for that. I got some ideas on some ideas for income on the homestead too. Like I said, I've been transplanting black raspberries and blackberry bushes from here down there. And so what I did was take cuttings at the house we just sold. I had planted some when we moved in, and they're pretty prolific, right? So they've grown into this pretty big hedge of blackberries and black raspberries. And so I would take them and just, propagate the cuttings into little pots. And every time I went down there, bring them and plant them. And I think I had 18, 20 of them in down there. And they got to mature and fill in, obviously, and stuff. But I want to take cuttings and try to sell them, like at the farmer's market or on Craigslist. Maybe do blueberry bushes too. And I got a bunch of peach trees in the back. And, they dropped the peaches and the pits take in the ground. And I was mowing them down. I thought they were weeds. And my neighbor told me, he's like, I can't believe how many peach trees come out of those little things. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, all those little things are peach trees. I was like, wow, you're kidding me. So I started thinking about it. Like, you go to Home Depot up here, and it's like $29 for a little 4-foot peach tree or apple tree or whatever. You can see a lot of peach trees, I guess, up here, but apple trees are pretty popular, but they're expensive, So I'm thinking, like, could that be a viable source of income if I were to like dig up some of those and just let them grow, right? Put them in the greenhouse and then try to sell them either on Craigslist or in a farmer's market. Apologize for the shakiness. I got to move around here. So sitting here in the chair with a board on my little tray on my lap with the laptop on it. So every time I move, it moves. But so that was an idea for a source of income on the homestead. And I've had a few other ideas. I find it hard down there, like, to engage people and like to get like, for instance, trying to find a sheetrocker and a couple contractors. I'm trying to do as much as I can, but there's some things that I have to hire out. And you call these people, and 90% of them don't call you back. The ones that do say they're going to come and they don't. And like, it's a struggle, right? So same thing with like, like I want to try to do back to Eden gardening, at least a section of it. So I'm looking for wood chips. So you call and leave messages. People don't get back to you. Talk to one guy. He's like, oh, yeah, I can get you wood chips. I says, bring them anytime. Just drop them off. Put them over there. It doesn't matter from here or whatever. Yeah, and that was a year ago. Haven't seen any yet. The power company actually had an ad on Craigslist for the area. Like, we'll drop off wood chips. Put your name on a list. So they email me an alert every 6 months. Do you still want to be on our list? Yes, I do. I actually want to be on the list until I receive wood chips. Probably even after that, because if it took me 2 years and I updated every 6 months and I have not gotten one load yet, I'm betting that you cannot supply wood chips fast enough to where I need them, because they're going to decompose and go into the earth, and every year you got to replenish them. So, like, I'm thinking, like, why are you sending me an email to ask me if I still want to be on the list? Like, deliver 3 loads, then ask me if I still want to be on the list. Whatever. When I get into a rant. Like, and I realize that if you got 900 people on the list, you're going to pick the one closest to where you're doing the trimming. That makes most sense. And here I am in the middle of nowhere, right? So, like, they're not going to drive 30 miles out to Timo's house to drop off chips when they got 10 other people down the block that want them. So I understand that. So the whole point is, like, it's hard to get these systems in place. And so, like, to go back to what Zach was talking about, the barrels, there's a place about 10, 15 miles away from me that sells them, $25 a piece for the 53-gallon black barrels with the screw lids. And so those would work. But, like, for the rainwater, I think I want to, what I'm actually going to do is they sell the totes also. I want to get a couple of those. I think they're 275-gallon IBC totes. I want to get a couple of those and put them in the back of the greenhouse and collect all the greenhouse water off of that. Then I want to get the black barrels, and I'm going to keep them empty until the fall. And I'm going to fill them up and put them in the greenhouse. And I'll put a potting table on top of them, and I'll put all my starters or whatever plants I want to work on in there. And then I use that as like a thermal mass, because water is like the best thermal mass, right? So when the sun comes through the front, it'll be absorbed into the black barrels, because black absorbs heat, and it'll heat that water up all day. And then at night, like in the fall, when the temperature starts to drop, my hope is that it will, even if it doesn't heat the greenhouse, right? Like, whatever I'm bringing in there, if I set on the table on top of the barrels, the heat that comes off the barrel is going to rise right up into the plants. So even if that heat isn't enough to heat the entire greenhouse, at least it's keeping the dirt and the plants warm, hopefully warm enough to survive. Again, I don't have any real expectations that I'm going to be able to grow stuff all winter long in there. But, maybe in some locations, not maybe, I know that you can in some locations. But I think there where I am, we get enough of a winter to where that's not going to be the case. When I was down there Christmas and New Year's week, the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's, it never got above 25 the whole entire 2 weeks. My neighbor said that was like an all-time record of days underneath, under 30. But I was talking to him this morning, and they got 5 inches of snow there the other day. Now, the upside to that is they got 5 inches of snow, I think, on, I don't know when it was, Saturday or whatever. No, today's Sunday. It must have been like Thursday. And then it's all gone today. So unlike here, you get 5 inches of snow. It'll be here till May. And then next week you get 5 inches. Then you get another 5 inches. And by the time March rolls around, you got 38 inches of snow on the ground. And then in May, it melts and you got mud for 2 months. Whereas down there, like, you get 5 inches, 2 days later, it's gone. And so I kind of like that. So, like, I guess, picking the areas, I wanted a milder winter, but I wanted some change of seasons, and I didn't want the brutal heat. So I think we're in a good compromise there. Although, judging by my experiences this winter, it almost seems like maybe I should have went a little further south. But I think all in all, I'll be happy that I didn't, because I do want, like I said, I do want a little bit of a change. Thermal mass. Yeah, thermal mass, Zach, for sure. Heat up that water and let it heat the greenhouse at night. And that's, just be careful of algae growth. Yeah, well, I think that's why it's important to use black. I watch Tommy there from Off Grid Nation. I believe that's the reason why he covered his totes with black plastic. Maybe he mentioned that in one of his videos. And it's to keep the algae growth down or to eliminate it. I think you could also, for the thermal mass water, Daniel, great seeing you. Take care, Daniel. Thanks for coming in, brother. I appreciate it. It was good seeing you too, as always. So I think, obviously, if you're using the water, I think Tommy, I don't think, I know because he just did the video not too long ago. He puts a little bleach in his water to kill the algae because he uses it for washing up and dishes and, whatever, cleaning, stuff like that. But he brings in his own drinking water. So that works. And for the thermal mass water, I can put bleach in it too because we're not going to be using that in any degree. Algae isn't the problem. Mosquito larvae is. That's why you got to filter it going in. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I know Tommy there uses a sock on his. He's got some pretty good videos on water rain catchment, and he doesn't have a huge rain catchment system. I want to make mine a little bit bigger capacity than his, but he's got the engineering of it down pretty good. And so if anybody was interested in any of that, that's a good place to go for that. Off Grid Nation, he's got a couple videos about that, as do several other people. But I think that if it's closed too, like the mosquito thing won't be, again, the rainwater catchment part won't. But when I fill those black barrels up and put a cap of bleach in there or whatever and screw those tops shut, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm eliminating the mosquito problem. But I'm not 100% sure of that. Bleach isn't good for your plants. Yeah, no, I won't use it. I won't use bleach in my water catchment. Because I'm not going to be using it for washing up and doing dishes and stuff like that. It's going to just be for the plants. I'm just going to, like you say, filter it. I'll filter it going in with the sock and then paint it black to keep the algae down as much as possible. If the system is closed as much as it can be, then I don't know how the mosquitoes. That's a good point, though. Like maybe I could do almost like a P-trap in the incoming water so there's always water in there, like below the input of the tank, so that I'd have to think about that though, because it can't be too much below because it's got to be able to go into the tank. But then maybe the mosquitoes can't go through there. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Maybe they can. I have to look into that. That's a good point, Zach. Bleach is great for long storage. I use it in my drinking water storage, but plan on boiling. Yeah. Yeah, I had those 2 barrels that I brought down there. I had in the basement in the house that we just had. And so that I had their 70 each. I had 140 gallons, and I put a little bleach in them. And I was going to change it every year. But I had it just about a year when we sold the house, so I didn't have to. But I was going to change the water out. But you're right. And I think no matter what you do or don't do to it when you store it, that boiling it is still a good idea when you go to use it, if you're using it for drinking, because I think it can just get stale from sitting. And I don't know if that's true, but in my mind it is. So just for my own peace of mind, I would probably get in the habit of boiling it anyway, because you really never know like what kind of parasites, or like there's so many things that can be born in water. It's just, I think it's just a good idea to do that anyway, no matter what. You can use an RV water filter to take out the bleach. Huh. Even before the tank to filter the water. That's a good idea. I never thought of that. RV have a lot, there's a lot of systems for RVs that can probably be useful for that. We had horse water tub. We put the grills in it. They ate the bugs. What eats the bugs? Oh, bluegills. Huh. Okay. P-trap is a good, but must vent it. Okay. So, yeah. So I guess that wouldn't be too hard to design that. coming off the rainwater gutter. I can wire it before the input for the vent. But actually the P-trap itself, I have to go to wire it to the P-trap and vent the top of the P-trap probably. Circulating pump for large systems. Yeah, and I think that, of course, I don't know because I don't know what the annual rainfall is, but I'm thinking logically, I'm probably going to use most of the water fairly quickly for the watering, for the rainwater catchment. I'm thinking that it's not going to sit around for a huge amount of time. Hey, good night, Finger Lakes. Thanks for coming in, brother. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. So I got some ideas, but again, you go back to that when I go down there in the spring. I just want to I could go down there in the spring to live and not even step foot in the house until November. Other than to take a shower and go to sleep. I really don't even have to sleep in the house. But, I got all this stuff I want to do outside. I want to build raised garden beds. I want to build a greenhouse. Some of that stuff needs to be fenced in. I got a lot of mowing and brush I want to take down. I got a lot of stuff on the property that needs to be changed, fixed, or altered. I got some overgrown bushes right next to the house. They got to come out. I got all this stuff, right? And I can't do any of it because I got this huge project inside that I have to take care of because I want my wife to join me as soon as possible. And she's going to work most of the summer up here and join me sometime mid to late summer. So I have to get the house to a point to where she's going to be comfortable. And so it's going to kill me not to be able to do that stuff that where my passion is, where I really want to do outside. I'm going to try to temper it, right? I'm going to try to work outside one day a week or whatever I can do. But I don't know. We'll see. Fish poop is fertilizer. Yes, Wes. Aquaponics. I looked into that too, but there's some engineering involved in it. It doesn't look hugely difficult, but that's something that in a year or two or three, when I get some of this other stuff knocked off my plate, I might try to enter into a little of that. I don't know. I watch some people that do aquaponics and I read up about it and stuff. I'm not 100% convinced that what you get is worth what you got to put into it. The maintenance, the engineering, all the stuff you got to buy, all the whole systems and keeping it balanced and working properly. I guess once you get it up and running, maybe it kind of runs itself, but I see a lot of potential for things changing or going wrong. And then in the end, you get fish and you get fertilizer for your plants from the fish. So there's other sources of organic fertilizer, compost and such that may not take as much engineering or as much maintenance. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that closely. That's kind of my first take on it is I wonder if it's really worth it. But maybe it is. Does anybody in here do aquaponics? If so, let me know. So that's about it. I just want to come on. I haven't done a live stream in a while and kind of give an update on where I'm going with everything, what I'm doing, where I'm at. Just thank everybody that listens to my story and follows me. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody that follows me on Patreon. I know it's still tough getting off the ground, and I understand, and I'm not really trying to plug it, but I know some of the people on here are following me on there, and so I do thank you for that too. Steam It. I've been on Steam It. I'm trying that. Like, I have no clue how any of that stuff works or how to even cash in. I know you can, but like when I went to Virginia, just to tell a quick story, I had my Steeming account was worth like $418. And I didn't have internet down there really, right? I did not really, I didn't have it at all. And so on the way home, when I stopped at the hotel, I went to check a bunch of stuff and just log on for the first time, check my email. My emails I could check on my phone, but like just went online and I went to my Steeming account. That $418 account had went to $1,700 in 2 weeks. And currently now it dropped to like 11 something. So it fluctuates kind of, I guess, in the same way the stock market does. I'm not going to pretend to understand it. I'm not going to pretend that I know how to use it or navigate it. The success that I've had there, very limited as it was, seems to be random. You know, I can write a story, 10 chapters of a story, and 9 chapters make, 6 cents each. And then, chapter 1 through 6 makes 6 cents, 4 cents, 2 cents, 3 cents. Then chapter 7 makes $78. Then chapter 8, 9, and 10 makes 4 cents again. So it's like, how does that work? And how did all these people watch chapter 6 without watching chapter 1 through 5? I don't know, whatever. But that's Steam It. There's a lot of things there that I don't understand. But I think it's worth putting a little time into and checking it out and trying to learn it, because there's potential there, I believe, although I don't know how to unlock it. So I think, Zach, you're talking to Nina about that. Was it like a reverse osmosis filter that I think she got from FLP? That thing looked pretty awesome, Nina. I was watching the video. That's the way to go, right? Like, yeah, that's a pretty solid piece of engineering right there. Guy up the road raises catfish and veggies. He never buys fertilizer. Yeah, the fish poop, I guess, in the water, I guess it's a pretty good organic fertilizer. And again, I could be wrong about the viability of it, because some people, they swear by it and they use it, and some people do it pretty large scale too. It's not reverse osmosis. Oh, it's ultraviolet. Oh, okay. All right. Then misunderstood it. But I mean, still, it seems like a pretty good piece of engineering. Now, I watched the video that you made on it. Any fish farm must be eco-balanced. So, like, I think the aquaponics is okay. I just think that for me, like, there might be easier ways to produce organic fertilizer. Then again, I'm not saying I don't want to do it, but I'm not going to do off the bat is any kind of animals, really. With everything I got going on there, the last thing I could even deal with is like taking care of chickens or rabbits. Although I want to do at least one of them at some point down the road. But that's probably not going to happen in the first summer, the first fall. And I would have to also, good night, May. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. I would have to build structures for them and all that. I do have an old shed on the property. I have a fairly newer, decent shed, and then I have an older shed that's in somewhat state of disrepair, but would probably work for a chicken coop. So I have to see, like, at some point, I'm not sure. And I've talked to different people, and you get different, like with most things, you get different answers of the question of like, would you do chickens or rabbits? I like Live in Tradition Homestead. I love that channel, and they're pretty informative and articulate about the content they put out. There's nothing vague about it. They go, whatever they're doing their videos on, they go through it pretty concisely, explain it very well and very thoroughly. And from watching them, and they do both, they do chickens and rabbits. And I think rabbits, might be easier. But on the other hand, I don't think you can survive just on rabbit. It doesn't have the right kind of fat or whatever, but we don't eat a lot of meat, and so I'm thinking it would be okay for us. But I got to look into that too. A good compost pile with organic plant waste. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And not only that, Zach, but worms. I did a small one here last year. Not here at the house before we sold it, but here in Connecticut. Um, did the red wigglers, and that stuff is supposed to be pretty good. And I used it and had good results, I guess. You know, I only did the garden for a couple of years. I used that 1 year, so like, were the results from that specifically? I don't know how you delineate that, but everything I read and heard about it, is pretty promising, and it's pretty easy to do. And the worms, you can leave them for quite a while. Like, you can just throw the compost in there, and it's pretty good. I think that's the way to go in a compost pile too. You can get rabbit starvation from too much rabbit meat. Too much rabbit, not enough fat. Yeah, I heard that too. So again, if you're supplement, so like the rabbit fat, now I don't know, I'm speculating or just like going off the top of my head, but is that the protein? Like, what are you getting from the fat that's so beneficial that the rabbits lack? Is it protein? I don't know what else would be in fat that you would really need, right? So like, if you supplement, if you make stews and supplement it with black beans, then are you solving that problem? I mean, do you have to get it seems to me that that's an easy problem to overcome. But I don't know. And then again, if it doesn't have any of the nutrition in it, what's the sense of raising it, right? For flavor, maybe? I don't know. I have to look into that. Your body needs fat to survive. I don't think I have any problem there. I probably can live the next 10 years on the fat I got stored up. But your body needs fat to survive, but then what foods have fats? It's too much protein, no fats. Oh, okay. So the fat and the protein balance. So with a rabbit, you're getting all protein, no fat. So fats are like the oils. But I don't know if you need, your brain needs fats to work. Okay. Huh. Maybe that's why my brain is super working good. So I got a lot of fat. But then is my brain really working? It's always working, but it's not really producing anything. The human body needs fat. Without fat in the diet, we starve. Okay, so you got rabbit. It's got all this protein, but it doesn't have the fat. So that doesn't necessarily negate the use of rabbit. Like, so then we just need to add that fat from somewhere else. So, right. So then the question becomes, why use rabbit if you have to add fat when you can just use meat that already has fat? I guess it makes sense, but there's got to be something, like people are raising them and eating them, so there's got to be some benefit to it. I got to study it out and unlock that, I guess. Ducks have high fat content. Omega-3s and such. Okay, so omega-3, so look at like flaxseed, right? Flaxseed's loaded with omega-3. So maybe like make rabbit stew and just add flaxseed to it. I don't know. If you don't stock vitamin mineral pills as a prepper, you can risk malnutrition. Yeah. That's why people get on fat-free diets and they crash and burn. Gotta have fat. Oh, that's interesting. Cold weather survivalists consume huge amounts of fat. Bone marrow. There you go. Rabbits and chickens balance. They balance each other, Wes? Is that what you're saying? Rabbits are so tasty. You know, Zach, I've never eaten rabbit. Bacon is the bomb. Diggity, bacon is good. Bacon. Yeah. Hmm. Rabbits produce fat. Rabbits produce fast food breeding. Oh yeah, right. They do, right? I saw that. That again, Living Traditions did a 5-part segment on raising and butchering and eating rabbits, cooking rabbits, and it what is I want to say, and I don't want to get this wrong, but I think it was like 8 weeks from birth to putting it in the pot, which is a pretty quick. If I'm right about that, it could be mixing that information from somewhere else. Rabbits produce fast food breeding. Also, rabbit poop is a non-burning fertilizer, right? So it doesn't have to like cook, right? You can use it right away. Two adult rabbits produce 1 metric ton of poop per year. Easy to feed also. Huh, that's interesting. You see some people, they actually bag it and sell it, rabbit poop. It's supposed to be a pretty good cold fertilizer. Oh, and there, Zach just said you could sell rabbit pellets. Yeah, I guess you could if you're producing 1 ton from 2 rabbits. That's crazy. I sold rabbits both were live. So Nina, you sold them. So have you like obviously if you've sold them live and dressed, then you must have butchered them, right? It seems like they're pretty easy to dress out and all that too. And it seems like a pretty low like setup cost for it too, which is good. You can go straight in rabbit poop. Really, straight in rabbit poop, no problems. Oh, not pellets, pelts, fur. Ah, yes. Yeah, well, somebody was saying that they didn't think the furs were worth that much unless you get the white ones. But then you watch, like, I watch J Null. He makes the caps out of them and stuff. He does some pretty nice work. Deep South kill every 14 weeks. Huh, okay. Hamon rabbit, and he is super easy to feed, and he feeds my garden for his rat. That's awesome. Yeah, if I didn't realize 2 rabbits produce, if you're saying 2 rabbits produce 1 metric ton, right, I would think one could fertilize a pretty decent sized garden on his own. I did have trouble butchering them. I wasn't strong enough. I have a 22 now. Okay. Yeah, you see, there's different ways to kill them. I've seen like they use like a V and put their neck in there and pull them down and dislocate the head. I don't know. Not that I couldn't do that. Like, obviously, in a survival situation, if you had to, you could. I think in this day and age, if I could find a different way, I might try to. Rabbits are super easy to clean. Just remove the glads under the arm. Yeah. It makes the meat taste off. Huh, okay. Remove the glands under the armpit. Dry the poop. To your garden help delay nitrogen release. Okay. Has very high nitrogen needs plants. Means knock them on the head. It's interesting, but I'm kind of leaning to the fact of maybe doing rabbits seem easier, right? I have a friend. We have friends that used to go to our church. My stepdaughter's friend, and she was over the house sometime, and she was telling us they have rabbits, right? And like they free range them, which I think is a good idea. And most nights they just open the gate or open the door, and they just automatically know to go back into the shed, the coop. But she was saying one day, for some reason, they didn't. I don't know why. But she spent like 3 hours trying to run around and catch them all. Like, that drive me nuts. I ended up taking out the shotgun and just shooting them before I went through that, probably. But that's just because I don't really know if I have what it comes down to is I guess I don't know if I have the patience for chickens. But they also, like, you got to figure a way to keep them out of your vegetable garden, right? They'll be like roosting in the middle of the lettuce plants and stuff. Rabbit pee is good for gardens, but highly corrosive if it gets on metals. Huh. Mine were big silver foxes. Thomas had trouble hitting them in the head with a hammer. Squash around the corn keeps the critters away. Indians called it the Three Sisters. Yeah, I think Danny in Deep South Homestead did something about that. The way certain things you plant together to aid each other. I have a hunch. He fills the bedding with poop every week, and it falls through a screen and catch below, then straight into the garden. Seems pretty easy. Savage. Yeah, I think I am gonna do rabbits again. It probably won't be for a year. I think and I just picked up a key piece of information here tonight, because just knowing that 2 of them can produce a ton of fertilizer a year, like, that's almost reason enough to raise a couple rabbits, even if I never butcher them or do anything with them. I never have to solve the fat problem or, how to butcher them. Just keep a couple of them for producing fertilizer, right? Could grow the stuff that they eat. Is that right, Savage? You might know if you've had them. Do you have to supplement it with rabbit food, or could you feed them just off of kitchen scraps and stuff you grow in the garden? Like, could you grow like certain kind of, I don't know, lettuce, I guess, right? Or like, will they eat weeds and stuff like chickens too, or no? My sister does chickens. She gets an egg a day for each chicken. Yeah, but then only, is that like a certain time of year, or do they only have a certain amount of time that they produce and then they stop producing, or they slow down? It seemed, and maybe I'm making it more complicated than it really is. And sometimes, like, YouTube is a good source for knowledge, but sometimes it's almost too much because it's overwhelming, because you get conflicting, like, reports, or people mention things and it's not fully explained, and then my mind runs away with it, like, well, what does that mean? What do I got to do? I got to do this now, like, like the production thing. Like, they make a comment like, well, they're in their production cycle. What does that mean? They produce for a year, then never again in their lives, or they only produce 2 months a year, or, like, I don't know. So I got to know before I do them, right? Yeah, I do. I feed them lettuce, turnips, beets, carrot tops, Swiss chard, collards, and so on. Okay. So, Savage, you don't purchase any rabbit food, and you just feed them from what you can grow in your garden. Actually, the winter with the heat lamp, they ramped up production. I guess the only way to really figure it out is just jump in and try it, right? Spinach, carrots, and turnips over winter too. I get eggs all year round. Production drops in the winter due to sunlight. When they stop producing, they can go in a stew pot. Yes, they can. I do buy backup store food when I get lazy now. LOL. I hear you there, Savage. Yeah, so those are interesting points. Interesting points for sure. And at some point, I'll get to the point where I can figure it all out or try to make a decision on it. It just, like, right now, because in one part of me would like to, if I move down there in the spring, just go out and do that right away. But then I'm just adding something else, like, again, not to be redundant, but I got so much work to do on the house. And then beyond that, I want to do the greenhouse, the fencing, the raised bed. I just don't think I want to put that on my plate this year. Maybe next winter after the whole growing season ends and hopefully the house is largely finished. It'll never really be finished, but largely finished. Then maybe I can start spending some time figuring that stuff out. Tough to see. One rabbit in a hutch is easy. Yeah, that's true. For the fertilizer for the garden. Yeah, maybe I could start with that. And actually, that's probably how I would start. Is just start slow and see. Like, I know Daniel, his daughter, raises rabbits, and I saw a video he did one time. Like, she sells them through 4-H or something. So, like, people will come and she'll get $8 or $10 or whatever it is for a baby bunny, and that's not a bad idea either. Low and slow in the Dutch oven or crock pot. Oh, yeah. Everything's better low and slow. Cooking it low and slow. Slow and easy. My meat birds cooked fine. My mean rooster had to cook longer. It was a little more resilient. That's funny. All right. Well, I think I should probably gonna think about cutting it off. I think I went over pretty much everything I had to go over, unless if anybody has any questions about anything, what I'm doing at the homestead, anything about the stories that I'm writing, or anything they see on my channel. They have any questions or comments? Other than that, I'll probably wind it down. I just went on basically because I haven't done a live stream in so long. And partially because I feel like I'm a little bit out of my depth in the live stream. Like most of my content is the written word, so I can work over it until it's ready and then just put it up, right? This is a little different. It's like you don't have that preparation aspect of it, so I'm a little out of my element. So I like to just try to do one once in a while. It was great to see you live, Tim. Well, thanks, Nina. You're always so encouraging, Nina. So supportive. I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. Thanks, Tim. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun, Zach. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Thank everybody else for coming. Todd, Savage, Thomas Witten, Cheryl. I know a lot of people left too. I'm not even really following a lot, but everybody that came in and commented, everybody that follows me and my channel, I appreciate every one of you. And thank you all for coming in. I want to say good night and God bless you.